What's happening, kinfolk? I am your host, Amor Jomay, and this is Jomay's To Go Plates, where I serve you a free game and send you on your way. The special for today is It's Okay Not to Be Okay, because through faith and community, you can make a way. Today, we are introducing a new segment to Go Plates called Intersations with Jomay, where I hold intersations with different magical souls to politic about their life, lights, and purpose. Today, we have Bernadette Holmes, author of If Not Me, Then What Could It Be? Welcome on the show. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Let's start off by introducing people and telling people who you are.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't prepared for that. Hi, my name is Bernadette Holmes. I am originally from Savannah, Georgia. I reside in Virginia now. I am a new special education teacher. This is my first year teaching. I have an 18-year-old daughter. So I've been a single mom for quite some time before. And I just published my first book, If Not Me, Then What Could It Be?
Yeah, so we're going to get into this book. I purchased it, and it's going to be something like everybody. I am a social behavior counselor, and I am in primary. So we have a lot of different kids with different things, different backgrounds, especially in the underprivileged areas. And so this book is definitely something that I feel like primary, maybe even middle school counselors should invest in because it is a lesson that I think kids need to learn. But we're going to have Bernadette talk more about it.
The catalyst for the book was like, well, it's about me and my daughter, especially during the time when I was a single parent. And I honestly didn't even know that it was depression. You know, I just thought that sometimes I just kind of got in a funk, couldn't really do anything. I thought it was like just the stress of being a single parent, working 2 jobs, trying to go to school. And it wasn't until I want to say my daughter was, I think she was in maybe 3rd grade or so, where I actually had attempted like suicide. I had really sat in my car and I was really, really, really going to just end it all. And an ex of mine actually sat on the phone with me and kind of for hours and convinced me, not to do it or whatever. So I guess that wouldn't count as an attempt, but we can say that it was, I guess, and so it was at that moment where I knew that it was a bit more than just like a bad day, and so I finally had, try to reach out, get some help, go to therapy and things like that. And so it kind of started the process. Naturally, it kind of fell off and on from then, it wasn't until I would say maybe a couple of years ago when I kind of just felt like, actually, when I got into teaching, I noticed that there just, aren't a lot of books that have brown kids and brown parents on them. But I had always wanted to kind of do something to give back to like the Black community, because I feel like it's just not enough out there for us, especially for our kids. We're very underrepresented, and I started kind of with wanting to do like a nonprofit. And I was just like, I'm in an area where I don't really know a lot of people. It's kind of hard to kind of get that going when you don't have connects, And so it's like, I just got to think of another way to kind of, get my message out there somehow. And so in just kind of dealing with a lot of different things and just thinking like, I just want to write a book about it, and the one thing that I know the most about is 1, parenting, and 2, parenting with depression. And so my main goal with doing it, and like that book will be first of many, but I really wanted to just like open awareness to the world about like, the Black community does deal with a lot of issues, when things happen and stuff with, we'll just say other races. Oh, it's depression, it's mental illness and this, that, and the third. But as it pertains to Black people, it always is something else. It could never be that, and I really just wanted to bring awareness for that. And like for other people to realize that we deal with those things, but more importantly, to let other parents know that it's okay. I think that it was a really hard pill for me to swallow, to admit that something was wrong like that, in a Black household. Oh, you need to go to church. Oh, you need to pray. Oh, you ain't living. It was all these different things. So you try to cast it out and not feel like it's depression, and so I really wanted the book to be a catalyst in like homes. So I didn't, like, I'm sure you read it, but, I didn't want to use any particular verbiage when it came to that, because, there's a lot of ways that people are afflicted by mental health, and it's not just depression, it could be anxiety and things like that. And so I really just wanted it to be a starter conversation, and with if not me, then what could it be? I really wanted to write it from a kid's perspective. I think that like in a lot of my time and just kind of sitting with myself and dealing with different things and starting to journaling and things, I put a lot of focus on myself and what I was doing and what I needed to do better, and how I was trying to be like that strong parent and this, that, and the third, and not let her know that stuff was wrong. But I never stopped to think about how that affected my child and how she perceived all the things that were going on with me. So I tried to write it from like a kid perspective, just to let parents know that, our kids are watching us all the time. And whether we admit, like that something is wrong or not, they know when mom's not okay, as much as we try to sugarcoat it and stuff like that, you can't really put anything past them. They may not be able to put their finger on it, but they know when you're not all right. And so I wanted parents to understand that, like the kids have feelings about things like this too. And we have to, as a Black community and especially as Black parents, undo a lot of the things I think that we were taught when we were younger, where, what happens in my house stays in my house type of thing, what's stuff under the rug, or thinking that kids don't understand certain things and just kind of brushing it off until they get older. That, you have to include children. You don't have to necessarily tell them everything, but you got to tell them something because they could feel like it's them, and it bothered me even more when I thought about it and started writing. And it's like, dang, like, could my child have really thought that like all the things that were wrong with me were because of her? So I was hoping that with this book that it starts conversation, it sparks, like healthy conversation in homes. And it makes parents feel more comfortable to know that these are the type of things that you need to talk to with your kids. Like, don't wait until they're older, because my main goal, once I did realize that I needed to get help and that something was wrong, is I'm really trying to have my child have a childhood that she didn't need to heal from. And that started with me.
I am so glad that you said all of that.
Sorry, I just went like off on a rant.
No, that's good. That's good, because the things that you said, parents need to know. These are the same things that I deal with every day on an everyday basis. Kids come in and, they're concerned about their parents. I have kids come in, they're crying and, they know something wrong, but the parents don't tell them.
Right.
Like you said, these kids are watching. These kids know. Kids can tell you their parents' everyday schedule. They know when they're at work, when they're not. They know exactly what you're doing. But like you said, we grew up in a world during our time where we weren't allowed to ask questions. We weren't allowed to know about grown folks' business. But these same things, they affect you. They affect the kids. They affect the household. I get a lot of kids, they come in and they say different things, or my main thing is, I have anger problems. I have anger management problems. And I'm like, well, why do you think that? Oh, I get it from my parent. I get it from my mama. So if these kids are saying that they're angry because their parents are angry, what do you think that they're not, taking on these different traits or something like that, or not noticing when you're not yourself, or how you act when certain people come around or certain things happen, or even like, as far as not having money in the house. They know, they come to school and they tell us.
They like, trust me, as a teacher, your kids telling all your business.
All the business.
All the business.
Sometimes I have to be like, hey. Sometimes don't tell me this, because then I'm gonna have to call somebody else to try to figure out what's going on in this household. So I mean, it's one of those things that
school business.
Right. It's one of those things where and you have special ed, and I taught special ed as well, and they were the group that I needed to express that. Hey, don't tell me nothing about what's going on in the house, because if it's something
right now.
Right. It's one of those things, is like, you appreciate that type of thing, but it's also, parents don't want like the school to get involved, because one of the things from my position, they don't want CPS to be called, because they think that CPS is going to take their children away. They're going to disrupt the house. But a lot of people don't know CPS is there to help. They can provide different services for you. They can provide, food, clothes, housing, whatever it is. They don't always take the children. It has to be something desperate for them to take the children
That's a
out of your
drastic measure.
house.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
drastic measure when you go and remove kids from the house. And I think that like a lot of parents too don't even understand that when your kids are home and they're dealing with certain things and they come to school, the only outlet that they have sometimes is school.
Is at
So
school.
when your child starts to like misbehave in class, their grades are dropping, the teacher's calling about different things, and it's kind of like out of the ordinary for your child, like something is up.
Yes.
And I think that we have to, like, as parents, and especially as Black parents, not assume that, oh, the teacher out to get my child, or, well, what are you doing in your class and this and that. Like, something could be going on. Like, we have to get to the point where we, definitely take heed as to what the teacher is saying, but have conversations with your children. Like, I think a big reason why these kids come to school and they tell us all their business is because people not listening to them at home.
Exactly.
They're trying to express in certain ways and only ways that they know, like kids are not necessarily going to sit down and say, hey, I need to talk to you about something that's really bothering me. That's going to come across in different ways. That could be one child may know how to do that, whereas another one's going to throw a chair or another one's going to break a pencil, or somebody else is going to be crying. So it's, we really have to, as much as we check on the mental health of adults, we got to do that for kids too, because kids internalize a lot of what is going on with their parents. And because they don't know how to verbalize it, then it's just like, now your kid's depressed, but you don't think they are, because a lot of people don't think that kids can be depressed, but they can.
Right.
If an adult,
that's, if you think about it, that's where the adults, have their issues from. Mm-hmm. It's usually issues stemming from, childhood, that they haven't worked out, that they've suppressed, and now it's showing up in their adult life. I really want parents to start just simply talking to your kid. Mm-hmm. Talking to your kid is not saying, oh, how was your day? And your kid saying, oh, it was okay. And that's the end of the conversation. Right. No, ask probing questions. Mm-hmm. Don't ask yes or no questions. Ask probing questions. If you know that your child has been struggling in a subject and they had a test, oh, well, how did you do on that test? Or, let me help you with your work. Or, I know you've been having some issues with Miss such and such. Like, how is that, going on? Make them feel like their day is valuable. Right. The same way you, get off work and you call your girlfriend, your partner, who else to go and, vent about your day. Mm-hmm. Your child needs to vent too. They Absolutely. Need that safe person. Mm-hmm. The parent should be that safe person.
They should be. Because the teachers don't necessarily want to do that. Like we right. can't do that for every kid. But I think we have to, and like you said, ask probing questions, but you also have to know your child. Like I think a very good book for parents to read is The 5 Love Languages of Kids. And it helped me a lot when it came to my daughter. Like, when you become a parent, you assume that your kid is going to be just like you. And that you try to treat them the way that you would want to be treated. Treat them mm-hmm. the way that, as I'm in therapy now and I've learned that my inner child will want, not necessarily my child, right. But I had to learn a way in which to, one, communicate with my daughter, because the way that I would want to be communicated with is not the way that she does, and I had to really realize what resonates to her as love, because as a parent, you think that you're doing all of these miraculous things and that your kid is understanding and knowing that you love them, but that's not always the case. Right. Just like adults have love languages, kids do too. And I think that instead, like you said, with the probing questions, but ask how they feel about mm-hmm. things. How do you feel when you're in Miss So-and-so's class? How do you feel when you get to school or when you leave school? Like, what did you do in math today? Like, ask right. direct questions in a sense, and then kind of see how they're feeling about that. Like, I think that, as a parent and as a teacher, kids are sometimes easy to read. Like they'll give you a small hint that something ain't right, and I think
but
that you can
only if you know that kid.
This is true.
You have to build a rapport in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because I have teachers now that, oh, well, this student won't talk to me. Well, did you ask them what's going on? Mm-hmm. Right. Because they come down to me and spill their guts. And we
all you got to do is say good morning.
And they gonna start talking. Like, kids know who they feel safe with. Right. Kids will open up to you if they feel safe with you and they feel like, their opinion, their thoughts and their feelings actually matter to you. They're gonna talk to you all the time. It's not gonna be mm-hmm. a struggle. So when it becomes a problem for a parent to try to figure out, or say, oh, well, I didn't know this was happening with my kid. You don't talk to your kid.
Right.
That's not the conversation that you're having with them.
Right. I know in my household, just growing up, my parents were a little older, so they had the old school mentality where parents are here and kids are there, so I never felt like I could have a conversation with my mom because I always felt like she was never going to understand me, because there was such a divide, like a separation between the two of us. It wasn't like a feeling where, this could be a safe space, even though I knew I was safe. It didn't feel like a safe space sometimes to talk about my feelings. So I think that, parents need to definitely work hard. It's hard to create a safe space because I think a big issue, I know even for myself before I got to the point where I had gotten into therapy, and actually was applying the things that I had learned in therapy, is that when other people are vulnerable, it makes us feel uncomfortable. Like when you have conversations with your kids and it's like, oh, I don't know how to handle that, so I ain't even going to tread the waters there. I think that as a parent, you have to be comfortable with being vulnerable. And that's not something that a lot of people are okay with. And like when your kid expresses certain emotions that you are stifling within yourself or that you don't want to admit or deal with or talk about, it makes you uncomfortable. So you don't do it. And, I think a big part of what I have learned in being a parent, and now my daughter's 18, but even still, because at this point I've realized that parenting is lifelong. Like it doesn't matter how old your child is, you are still going, my mom still try to parent me and I am 37 years old, and so you have to definitely like learn your kids and grow and evolve with them in the relationship because it's not going to be the same. Like you can't just love them. You can't just provide for them. It's work being a parent and it's work being what you feel like is a good parent. Like I'm not here to say by any means that one way or another means it's better, or worse than the other. But it takes a lot of work and with yourself in order to be a good parent. And if you are not whole as a person, then it's really, really hard to parent. Like I think that I told my daughter this, like, the older that she gets, the more fluid conversations I think that we start to have. But I don't think that I really realized like who I was as a person until I was in my 30s. Like I had my daughter at 19 years old. So at 19, didn't know nothing about nothing. I was working 2 jobs because I thought I needed to. I wasn't going to school because I thought I had to, and I was just providing. So I, like looking back on it right now, don't know if I was actually parenting the way that I would have at this age, and I think, just from being a teacher, and seeing that parents are getting a lot younger now and your growth is like stifled when you have kids young, because you don't experience certain things, you don't deal with certain things. And so it's like your brain literally switches from being a 19-year-old or to being a parent. And like I explained to a young girl that I work with now, like she had a child young, she's like 22 or something, and I try to mentor her, and she's also a friend, like a family friend and stuff. But it's like the mom brain and then that young brain, but they haven't merged together to work.
Merged.
Like I was a 19-year-old that had a kid, but I wasn't a 19-year-old mom. And I think that if we don't start as a community and, like as Black people, fixing those issues when we know something's not right, instead of waiting and pushing it off and stuff, we are not doing our kids any justice. Like I wish that I had grown up in a time when I had my daughter where therapy was a lot more accepted. I think that I could have come to terms with the issues that I was dealing with way quicker. Not to say that my life would have turned out any differently, but I think that I could have arrived to where I am right now a lot faster had I dealt with a lot of things. I just feel like we just got to start when we know something's not right. We have to deal with it then, because whether we know it or not, like our kids are affected. It affects their daily life. Like I see a lot of kids whose home lives are not the absolute best, and they have a hard time in school, a really hard time.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, about the suicide piece. Okay. So today, we found out that Twitch, I don't like to say killed himself, took his life. And that's one of the things in the Black community that we don't talk about as well, along with the depression. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of different comments saying, you never know what somebody is going through. Or, he was always a happy guy, or, things like that. And it always strikes me like, yeah, somebody can appear happy, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that they're happy on the inside.
Right.
Um, I think I think we as a people need to start paying attention more. Paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to people like, yeah, you see the mask that people put on or whatever. But, when we ask people, are you okay? And they say, yeah, I'm okay. And we just leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, really tell me, are you okay? Like,
Right.
I don't even ask people, are you okay? And I'd be like, how's your heart? How's your mind?
Mm-hmm. I
Those are
love
the
that.
things that I want to know. Because
Yeah.
if your heart and your mind is not, right, then we need to
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation. Because I want to know. Like, my friends know I'm not a how's your day? How's your no? Like, what's going on? Are you okay? I'm that
Mm-hmm.
friend that, if I know something's going on, I'm gonna check on you at least 3 times a day just to make sure that your mental is good. And if they're
Mm-hmm.
not, we're gonna talk about it. Even when I see people post stuff on Instagram, and I don't even know them. Hey, I'm that person that you need to, here's my number. You can call me anytime, any day, or whatever. I'm there to talk to you
Mm-hmm.
because there's too many people in our community that are taking their lives and nobody know what is going on.
Right.
Like, nobody is known. I was in a severe depressed state about 11 years ago, and I wasn't thinking about killing myself, but I had just shut everybody out. And one of my friends was concerned about me because
Mm-hmm.
I was talking all crazy or whatever, and I stopped answering my phone. She sent the cops to my house to do a wellness check.
Wow.
That was how I initially got into therapy. I don't know where I would have been, what could have happened to me had she not done that, but I thank her still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never had anybody, like, not saying that people don't check on me, but to that capacity to be like, oh, well, I'm gonna call the police to make sure that you're okay.
Right.
Like, I was still in student, apartments, and they done knocked on the front door, knocked on my bedroom door, and I'm
Oh,
like, I'm
goodness.
good. They were like, no, we need you to come with us. We're gonna take you to the, mental hospital to get you checked out and evaluated. And from there, the mental hospital ended up contacting my school, and they made me go to therapy. And I was like, okay, this is a bit much, but you know, after everything happened, like, I appreciate it. I was never against therapy, but like you said, growing up in a black, household, black family, we didn't talk about therapy. We didn't talk about any of that. But once I started going, I loved going. That's probably how I even got into the field. Just, my therapist had to tell me to stop coming. Like, you're good now. Stop coming. I'm like, nah, I want to talk to you. Can I come next week? Um, like, we need to talk about different things like that, because we do get into those spaces where we may not have plans, but just the thought that I'm to the point where I'm not okay, and I feel like it's better to take my own life than to deal with whatever problems I have.
And I think that people really need to understand, especially within the Black community, that there's a difference between depression and a bad day.
Right.
I think that so many people are so used to saying, oh, you need to pray, or just get up, you'll feel better. Oh, you just having a bad day, or it's a bad week, or change this or change that. And speaking from personal experience, it's not that easy. Like it's not just a bad day. Like there's bad days, but with depression, there's consecutive bad days.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember to the point where, oh Lord, now I don't want to cry, but my best friend would call me and she's just like, at least get up and take a shower today.
That's
Like,
hard.
it's hard. Like, I don't think that people understand how hard it is to, I told myself I was not going to cry.
No, you're good. I totally like feel you 100%. I talk to my friends all the time. My friends know that I am clinically diagnosed with depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them all the time, there was a time after my recent breakup, I wasn't cleaning my house.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing anything, whether it was washing dishes, whether it was, folding up clothes. I would get dressed, go to work every single day,
Mm-hmm.
smile, do my job, come back home, and I'm just sitting on the couch.
Yeah, and it's like
I'm not,
you see the mess, and you want to do it, you
and
want to tackle
it
it,
feels
but you
so
just
much
can't.
anxiety. It's just like, man, I can't even, and then you that whole, getting down on yourself and beating
Mhm.
yourself up inside. I want to give a shout out to Anchor for sponsoring To Go Place. If you've ever wanted to start a podcast, Anchor is the easiest way to do it. First of all, it's free 99. Secondly, it's hella user friendly. You can record and edit all within the app on your phone or computer. Thirdly, Anchor will get you tapped into other podcast services like Apple, Spotify, and plenty more. And the winner chicken dinner is you can make money from your podcast with super minimal listeners. Anchor is really your one-stop shop for making a podcast. You can download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to hit the green light on your podcast.